In the realm of video game modding, there are rare gems that transcend the boundaries of fan-created content, reshaping and redefining the original gaming experience. Stalker Lost Alpha stands tall amongst these exceptional mods, serving as a great example that breathes new life into the iconic Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. This video, whilst not an expansive review of Lost Alpha, will be giving an overview of what to expect from the mod. I'll quickly aim to cover the main changes this mod makes, as well as give some examples of the good and the bad. Hopefully by the end you'll be informed on the mod, and who knows, you might be convinced enough to give it a go yourself. And before we do begin, I'd quickly like to shamelessly plug my Twitch. I've just finished playing Darkwood over there. It was a lot of fun. So if you'd like to tune into some more sort of survival horror gaming, I guess, hang out with me. I'll be playing Dead Space next on stream, streaming 3 days a week at the moment, evening time. So yeah, please do check me out. The first striking aspect of Lost Alpha is its remarkable graphical overhaul. You're likely to notice this as soon as you start playing the game. The modders have reimagined the textures, introducing a level of detail that was previously unseen in the original Shadow of Chernobyl. The desolate landscapes of the zone now boast enhanced clarity, realistic lighting, and improved weather effects, creating an atmospheric experience that seamlessly blends the familiar with the awe-inspiring. It elevates the entire experience to new heights. The attention to environmental details, from the decaying structures to the anomalies, add layers of authenticity to the zone. The game's signature gritty feel remains intact, but with a newfound intensity that immerses players in this haunting yet beautiful world. What's more is, this mod introduces modern graphical effects, such as dynamic shadows and improved reflections, which contribute to the overall sense of realism. The attention to detail expands to character models and animations, breathing life into the denizens of the zone. The graphical enhancements alone make Lost Alpha a visual feast, captivating both veterans and newcomers alike. Beyond its visual changes, Lost Alpha introduces a reimagined narrative that enriches the Shadow of Chernobyl lore. While the core storyline remains familiar, the modders have woven a tapestry of new characters, dialogues, and events seamlessly into the existing narrative. The result is a story that feels both fresh and cohesive, providing players with a compelling reason to revisit the zone. The expanded narrative explores the mysteries of the zone in many new ways. New characters, each with their own motivations and backstories, now populate the zone. Dialogues have also been reworked to reflect the new narrative elements, with voice acting that, while not on par with the original game, manages to convey the nuances of these characters. An example at the beginning of the game being Proverb, who is introduced as the Stalker who saves the Marked One from the death truck, giving the player new quests and teaching them the basics at the start of the game. You'll also have a plethora of new quests, whether part of the main story or simply side quests to sink your teeth into. These will lengthen the game and give a fresh experience for any returning players of the original games. Now, the integration of new narrative elements is seamless in this mod, avoiding any jarring inconsistencies with the lore. As players traverse the zone, they'll encounter subtle nods to the original story whilst uncovering fresh layers of intrigue. Lost Alpha successfully strikes a delicate balance between nostalgia and innovation, ensuring that even the seasoned Stalker veteran will find themselves captivated by the unfolding narrative, side quests, and everything else I've mentioned so far. One of Lost Alpha's standout features is the inclusion of entirely new locations within the zone, the majority of them being either cut areas from the game or newly envisioned maps made by the mod team. What's more is the remaking of existing maps, everywhere from Cordon, the Garbage, the Bar, Agripom and more have all had a redesign, some more drastic than others. This will really refresh the zone and renew those feelings of discovery and fear of what's lurking around the corner. New map designs also mean new enemy placements and spawns, so you'll quickly find yourself encountering new threats in different scenarios. An example that I could give is that I found myself getting jumped by Buras and zombies in places like Agripom Underground that weren't previously there in the original. To use Agripom as an example, the one thing I did find about the map reworks was that the scale was sometimes a bit too much. For Agripom, the underground and overground areas were merged into one active area, so to say. Whilst it doesn't sound bad, it meant that by the time I had fought through the military and headed underground, all of the enemies had killed each other down there, so I was basically just walked past a bunch of dead soldiers, zombies and other things. It really sort of killed the vibe of going underground for the first time, I guess. Some of the other maps do also feel a bit too big. The Bar, for example, was merged with Wild Territory, and which, whilst this is quite cool, it suffers from the same problem as well as being quite large to navigate. Overall though, these new locations are not mere cosmetic additions, they are meticulously designed environments that contribute to the overall narrative and atmosphere of the game. Each area has its own unique flavour now, complete with new anomalies, artefacts and dangers waiting to be uncovered. The gameplay mechanics in Lost Alpha have also received attention, with tweaks to difficulty settings that add an extra layer of challenge. Let's just say that Lost Alpha doesn't exactly shy away from punishing players for their mistakes, making survival in the zone a true test of skill and resourcefulness. The introduction of new enemy types, each with unique behaviours, keeps combat encounters engaging and forces players to approach situations with more strategic foresight. I'll talk about the difficulty a bit later on, but the addition of new monsters does ramp it up somewhat. An example being fractures, which were added into Dark Valley as one example. This made the area a lot harder to navigate, whilst not necessarily being a bad thing. It was something to keep in mind for any new players or those who don't want too much of a difficult experience. Additionally, the mod introduces some changes to the weapon behaviour and handling. It requires you to get a bit more familiar with the intricacies of each firearm. Guns have new models, animations and more, as well as some new weapons being added into the game. These changes aren't too drastic, however. One feature I did find somewhat tedious though was the change to ammo use in the game. You basically have to now equip ammo to a separate bar in the inventory to actually use it and reload it. I'm not too sure what the reasoning was for this addition, as it did make some longer gunfights a bit more tedious, where I had to run around a corner, take cover, reorganise the ammo in my inventory, and then continue. Likewise, forgetting to do this meant that I was unable to reload my weapon at more crucial points or gunfights. Now, with mentioning those gameplay changes, I'd like to talk a bit about the difficulty in the game. I think that links up quite nicely. One of the more noticeable parts of Lost Alpha is the changes it introduces to the game's difficulty. The zone, already a harsh and unforgiving place, becomes even more treacherous as players navigate it this time around. The difficulty adjustments go beyond simple enemy tweaks though. They reshape the fundamental dynamics of gameplay, creating an experience that demands strategic thinking and adaptability. Resource management is something that takes centre stage not just in the original, but even more so in Lost Alpha's unforgiving landscape. Ammunition is way more scarce than before, and the conditions of weapons seemingly degrade a lot faster over time. I also found that guns would be way less reliable and would jam more frequently, even when degradation wasn't even that high. In summary, I definitely did find Lost Alpha a bit too difficult at some points. It felt less like punishing bad decisions and more like straight up torture at some points. For me, ammo was a constant concern, and money was quite hard to come by even when trying to do some side quests. Fighting the military at Agriprom was definitely where this shone the most at the beginning of the game, and those larger encounters with Monolith later on also felt crushingly difficult when I was low on resources. I'm not sure if anyone else can relate to this though. I may have just been playing really badly. But if you are looking at a more hardcore experience, if that's your kind of thing, then these issues shouldn't be much of a turn off. I'm just relaying my experience with the mod. Now, before I end the video, I'd quickly like to talk about the performance of the mod, stability, and a few other things. Overall, the mod ran exceptionally well for me. My PC was able to run the game using the advanced graphical settings without any issues. All of those can be tweaked within the mod launcher itself. I did have a couple of crashes here and there, though certainly not enough to really make it a problem. In terms of bugs, I did encounter the usual jank, but again, nothing jumped out at me that couldn't be resolved simply by reloading an earlier save if it did impact the game. And to round this section off, I'd also like to mention that the mod was exceptionally easy to download and install. I'll be putting a link to it in the description of this video if you did want to check it out. In summary, I think Lost Alpha is a really robust mod that stands as one of the best for Shadow of Chernobyl. Despite some annoyances in terms of difficulty and gameplay changes, the game is gorgeous and really refreshes some aspects of the original without removing any of the original charm, atmosphere or vision. I'd certainly recommend it to anyone who has played Shadow of Chernobyl and is looking for a new OG experience to sink their teeth into. If you're someone who has only played Anomaly and not the original though, I'd recommend playing the original first, as a lot of the new features, especially characters and locations, might not be as exciting to you. The difficulty of this mod also caters a little bit more to those with experience playing the original games. So yeah, definitely check it out if you have played the originals or are a fan of the originals. I think it adds a lot of new content that is really exciting to get into and can refresh that experience overall. Hello, I quickly want to say thank you for two things. Firstly, for watching this video, it means a lot to me. Secondly, my first video, which I'll link in the description or somewhere on this video, I'll figure it out, has just hit 1,000 views. So again, thank you for that, and thank you for everyone that has watched that video and is now watching this, who has shared that video, vice versa, etc., etc. I didn't think it was a particularly good video, the first video, and thought, get like 20 views maybe, but 1,000 is, exceeded my expectations 1,000-fold. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'd really like it if you could give me some feedback on this video. I think I've improved a lot of things. I think the audio is a lot better, maybe, hopefully, we'll see. The editing is a bit snappier as well. I just need to get a better webcam, because this is a really funny aspect ratio to try and edit into the video. What else? Yeah, I guess I'd also like you to check out my Twitch if you feel so inclined. I'll be streaming today, once this video is out, this evening, about 7:30 UK time, 8:30 Central European time. I'll be playing a bit of Dead Space. So yeah, if you want to hang out, chat to me live, talk about video games, movies, anything you like really, yeah, please do consider it. I think going forward I'm sort of going to keep the Twitch as a more chilled out sort of thing, playing games and talking and hanging out, and then the YouTube I'll be doing more of these kinds of videos, sort of not deep dives but more overviews and talking about certain mods or games. I think the next video will be Stalker related. I think I'll be doing a different game but a similar sort of structure. So yeah, hang around, and again, thank you for watching. I love you.